What is numerology? It's the study of numbers and their energetic influence on your life. In this episode, we explore numerology as we invite in 2024 and all the anticipation and hope that it promises us. Happy New Year.
Welcome to the Wellness Empowerment Project. I'm Trish.
And I'm Julie. We are two nurses exploring holistic healing and wellness practices to empower you to be the leader of your own health. Join us as we try out new things, or as we call it, weird shit, and have some fun along the way. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hard to believe that we are in 2024.
I know, but I have to say, I do enjoy some of the fun, weird shit that I like to do to try to predict what goes on in 2024. What happens.
This may sound a little nerdy. When you get a new notebook and it's blank, there's something about a new notebook that I love. I feel like when you start a new year, it's almost akin to like having a new notebook because things are just wide open. You don't really know what's going to happen. There's so much hope and possibility in starting a new year.
Yeah,
That's what I love about the new year.
I agree. And I echo the notebook one because my cousin got me this wonderful B 2024 planner. And in the back of it has 50 pages of notes. I'm super excited about it.
And 2024, I just feel like there's so many cool things that are going to be coming our way. And to have a little fun, you and I went and we had our numbers run for 2024.
Yes. I first need to pull a shout out to Remington Donovan of the Mystical Art. We will put his info in the show notes. But I actually found him during my Kundalini Yoga first beginning years of the journey. And the one thing that I think is amazing about Kundalini Yoga is that it was explained to me that it's like a buffet where you have all these different and whatever one really interests you the most is the one you can dive into. So I can't say numerology is one that I dove into, but it was one of the things I'd like to dabble in, especially for the new year. So numerology is pretty much the study of the numbers and their energetic meaning behind it. What I like about it is that it's simple and easy. It's something that we actually could walk everyone through on how to calculate what their numbers are, which is fun in itself.
Yes, I love how everyone is unique depending on what your birth dates are. It's different for each person. But then there's threads that pull us all together,
100%.
connections.
When we're calculating numerology, it's depending on what number you're looking to cultivate, depends on what numbers you are adding together. But in a very general sense, you're taking your birth date, whether it's the month and the day and or the year, and you're adding all these numbers up together to get down to a single digit. But you can, I think, keep 10 and 11, but you essentially keep down to a single digit, except for 10 or 11. When you do your numerology report for the year, you do your month of birth, the day of birth, and the current year that's coming up. And you add all those numbers up to get your single digit. So when I added up my birthday for this year, I got the number 9. Julie, what's your 2024 number of the year?
My number for 2024 is actually my favorite number. It's the number 3.
It's funny that you said your favorite was a 3 because for me, 9 is my favorite number too. Because 9 is 4 times coming up in my birthday. So I've always considered it my lucky number. If anyone remembers, we had a great conversation with Liv, and in her soul archetype map, she pulled out 3 numbers from the Tantric Kundalini numerology she used as part of our soul archetype. And for me, actually, 9 is 2 of my numbers from those on top of it. So I have lots of 9 that are right through. But before we go into the meaning of our numbers, we also actually have a number for the year. It's a very generalized, I would say, like the energy of 2024 on a very universal level.
The number for 2024 is 8.
Because 4 plus 2 equals 8.
Yeah.
So I love it.
The number 8 for the year is a very powerful number.
Oh, yes. Because even when you take 8 and you put it on its side, it looks like that infinity symbol. Also, big talk about this big energy portal on 8/8, August 8th every year. They call it this big Lionsgate portal because I guess, sun goes into Leo. And that's just a lot of courage and action, activation, and great time to manifest for what you want. I think we see that reflected in what they talk about with this year being an 8 year.
I see that an 8 year is full of themes around expansion and wealth, embodying strength. So, really stepping into that energy, unlike you have before.
Yeah, and you'd see that the numbers in your years may even have a little bit of a pattern to them. Last year, it was more of a looking inward for satisfaction. You may have felt like you were a little slow going on any of your external, we'll say, goals. But it makes sense because last year was probably the year of more inner work, almost like a recalibration, which prepares you for this year of an 8 year, which is really more about embracing your power, taking control. And this is the year where really showing up for yourself, really engaging yourself in situations that you may have been a little nervous to step into before. But because you did all that inner work last year, you're more ready to take part in different challenging situations.
Yeah, I do feel like in 2023, it was a introspective year, almost a cocoon year, where now we're breaking out and stepping into a new path. It's funny to think that the number for the year is in alignment with that.
I don't know about you, but I feel like everyone I've been talking to is ready to break out next year. Like everyone I've talked to, they're like, no, next year, this is the year I'm going to do this. But this year, I'm just ready to take my steps towards my next goal, or I want to break these patterns. Everyone I talk to has been like ready to just move forward. I realized that actually before I even did the numerology for this year. So I love seeing the correlations. I love seeing things come together.
So do I. Little synchronicities that just add that sparkle.
Oh, share a report from Remington for the
Yeah.
year.
Yes. Okay. I'll read the first page. That says your personal numerology for 2024 is 3. This is your year of building. This is your boss year. It is time to take charge and build the foundation on which your dreams will grow. Put in the effort, do the work. 3 gives you the power to transform your visions, ideas, and inspirations into reality. This is your year for courageous action. Utilize the energy of 3 to step it up in the world.
So the energy for 9, it's the year of limitlessness. This is your year for grace and sophistication. Let this be a time where you can maneuver and operate with high intelligence to overcome any blocks and obstacles that may come your way. It's a wonderful opportunity to create elegance in everything you do. The 9 is very intuitive. It's a great year to tap into more deeply your essence. Let things be still and subtle. Listen to your true inner voice, and it will reveal the deep hidden mysteries of the soul. The energy of the 9 is very attuned and very psychic.
Did that just strike you as really hitting home for you?
I think so. Because
Yeah.
one of the big things this past year that I was really trying to cultivate is listening and trusting to myself, especially when historically I've been in such this action do. I think I mentioned before that this podcast is actually a perfect example of it. I knew I wanted to do a podcast, but I also knew I wasn't going to do it alone. When the opportunity arose, I seized it. I started taking that action. So I do feel like this next year is for me to be taking on that, whether you want to call it a psychic ability or just learning to listen and trust yourself, whatever words you want to use. I see it as taking this aligned action and knowing the right time to take the right steps. And at the same time, not feeling this pressure to hurry up and get it all done. How about you?
Yeah. Growing up, I never thought of myself as a leader. I found myself in positions where I was leading, or I just ended up being the leader and went with it. I feel like I am at this place professionally where there's a lot of opportunity for me to continue to grow in ways that I never saw for myself. I have in the past, for me personally, I have felt like I have gotten to the edge of something and then for some reason backed off. And it's something within myself that I am doing internally that is a barrier in a way for certain opportunities. It doesn't mean that I haven't been successful, but I feel that there are certain things that I put barriers on myself. So this felt like there's opportunities, be courageous, go for it.
Yeah.
That's how I took it. Okay. That there's something that you're holding yourself back. And I'm not really sure what that is exactly. I have some senses of what that may be, but I need to just do the work to stop doing those same patterns and just go for where I really wanna go. That's how I took it.
That's exciting. And I have to say, I really resonate with that too, because I was having a conversation with someone the other day and I realized that the last, I would say since October through now, I've definitely saw a repeated pattern in my life from what happened from about 3 years ago. It's not the same situation, but it's very similar. I see now how I am responding to it so differently than what I did 3 years ago. Now I'm looking at it, and I think this report is very interesting too, because now it's, especially when we talk about overcoming blocks and obstacles, I realize that between 3 years ago and now, the block from 3 years ago, it was me. I was really blocking myself. I'm not saying this in a negative way. I think it was more of I had to do more growing and I needed to do more healing. I was in a place of I just wanted to essentially be done with this and move on to that. Not realizing until I'm in the space now how much work I had to do to get to this place of not just being more neutral, but being more cognizant of how my body is reacting to situations and how much I really desire to be moving forward in my own life. I think that's very different because before it was more of me reacting to my life. Whereas now it's okay, I'm seeing this repeat. And now, no, I'm not doing this as a reaction. I actually am doing this because I want to move forward in a new and different way.
Yeah, so much of what you just said that resonates with me. It feels, oh, wow. I went through a lot of the same things over the last several years and definitely was a big reactor to life and recognizing that I had a lot more control over how I could react or respond. I could respond to situations, not necessarily react. And that didn't change who I was as a person, didn't change my experiences, didn't dishonor certain experiences that I had, but also recognizing that the way I was reacting was not serving me well. And the only one who was really paying for that was myself. Not necessarily that I was having a bad life, but I wasn't reaching I don't want to say my full potential, but I certainly could have used or I could have responded in ways differently to get me further to where I actually want to be.
You bring up a great point because I think a lot of people, if you're not acting in the way or behaving the way you ultimately desire, it doesn't always mean you're behaving horrendously. It doesn't mean that everything's blown up around you. Some of it could be very subtle and so subtle that you've accepted and the people around you have accepted as just a personality trait. It's not until things start to shift and you become more in alignment with yourself then you actually realize, no, I don't have to just accept these things as personality traits. That's the reality is that we weren't really living in complete alignment of what our true desires were, what our true purpose was. We were letting light lead us instead of us leading our lives.
They say that your habits develop if you continue to have certain habits continuously, then over time that comes across as a personality trait. The good thing about habits is you can change them. So if they aren't serving you, you can change them and you can choose a more fulfilled or happy or healthier way of living. And over time, maybe your personality has shifted.
Yeah, and I remember still learning that you could actually change your personality. We actually did that. It was one of the teachings in the Kundalini yoga. One of our teachers said one day when we were going through one of the meditations, I remember thinking you could change your personality. I didn't even think that was feasible. But since then, obviously diving into the more of the work and not even just from the spiritual side, but also going into the sciencey side, the neuroplasticity and or vagus nerve, polyvagal theory. It all comes together that we really have more power and control than we even realized. And I think that's even the biggest piece of it.
I've been really thinking about how I want 2024 to be. And I've been thinking that I want to have a year plan and I really want a 2024 glow up.
We love that term. I think we love it.
And I feel like this ties really well into that. I'm looking for sustained change that will eventually become habits, which will eventually become just part of who I am and what my identity is. And what is it that I really want that I've been chasing for some time in a different way? And to think in terms of a whole year plan rather than what's my New Year's resolution and what am I going to do for the month of January? What am I going to do to really shift and glow up in 2024. So I
And I
love that this is such a powerful year to do that.
It's not even what you want to do. It's who do you want to become? This is the power of questions. This is why I love coaching too, is that I had two clients I was talking to, and it's like, what do you want to become? What do you want your life to look like? A lot of times there's this silence for a minute because no one really gets asked those questions. It's what do you want to do? Or what's your goal? And it's usually very superficial. I want to make more money. I want to do this. I want to get that. It's not who do you actually want to become? Who do you want to embody? What does it feel like? What does that person do? How does that person act? Those
Yeah.
are really powerful questions.
Yeah, that's tough to figure out.
Tough to figure out when you've never been asked it. And I think it is something that you can figure out if we don't limit ourselves.
So tell me more about what that means.
Oh, when people have struggled to answer that question, they a lot of times, first of all, you never thought about it, but then you start to put limits on it. Oh, that's not realistic. That will never happen. So once you start saying those things, you're already I'm not going to say the word carpentalized.
Compartmentalize.
Carpo,
This is a Mel Robbins moment.
Compartmentalized.
There you go.
Got it. You start to compartmentalize. So you start thinking to yourself, I may want to do this, but I can't because of this and this. You're already putting all this rigidity around it and you're already making your idea small. When you're doing that, you're also then trying to control it 100% yourself. The other piece of it is that you don't have to control it 100% yourself. You can work with the different energies of the universe and let things, you do your work and you do your piece, but let things start to come to you. When we start thinking of the action steps we need to take and we start thinking of what it tangibly looks like, we take away the magic of the situation. It's not just what do you want, but what does it feel like? What is that desire? What's underneath of it? What's that why? And if you start keep tapping in to the actual feeling and that desire, that's when your brain and your body start to chemically change. And then it's
I
okay,
think
well, what does that person do?
also, I think people tend to keep circling back to the same types of things. It could be anything. It could be in business, it could be in their relationships, it could be in their health. And there's this intuitive pull as to the things that they want to become. However, they don't think in terms of becoming. They think in terms of obtaining, achieving, and they only go skin deep as to why they want those things. That is what can actually separate people from true fulfillment and success to maybe even being successful, but not necessarily feeling satisfied or fulfilled.
I 100% agree. I think a lot of it is we are told that we need to complete these certain items and we do it because that's what we've been told. And then we're left unfulfilled, but we're never really asked to go any deeper. And this is the difference between lots of different jobs. Nursing is a great example. It's all okay, you go into the hospital. You know what? You have nurses that are entrepreneurs that started their own IV hydration companies, some that started up nursing facilities. You have consultants, legal nurse consultants, you have nurse coaches, and you have home care. So the possibilities are practically endless. But what's typically talked about is just, oh, graduate, go work in a hospital, get your skills down. Once you're in those environments, everyone around you is doing the same thing. It becomes harder to get out of that pattern because this is now what feels safe and what feels comfortable.
When I was in nursing school, I felt like so many of my classmates knew exactly what kind of nurse they wanted to be. And there were those hardcore ICU, I want to be a critical care nurse. And they were so intense. I was thinking, I don't know what kind of nurse I wanna be. There's a lot I knew that there was a lot of possibilities because my mother was a nurse. I just really that was part of the attraction of nursing, but that came to me from my mother who said, "You can go into an area of nursing, and if you don't like it, you leave and you go somewhere else and you learn a new specialty."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, okay. You're not locked in." Crazy, I ended up being an ICU nurse. But that wasn't my original plan. My original plan was to become a nurse midwife. Totally different.
Wow.
So,
Have you ever thought to go back and be a doula?
I have, but I don't know.
2024 goal. Possibilities are endless.
Possibilities are endless. Yes. So one of the other things that my report said was because this is a year of so many brilliant, inspirational ideas, it's important that you follow through with discipline. Don't overthink yourself into analysis paralysis, which I'm known for. Beware of meek, neurotic, and fearful tendencies. That was a hard one to take because I feel like that just was one of the things that may keep me back.
Reminder, too.
Yes. When you aren't tapped into your courage, you may take the other side of the spectrum where these behaviors rule you. And I
Mhm.
thought, "Oh, wow, that sounds so spot on." Did you have an area where it told you to be mindful?
Beware of blowing everything out of proportion. Use your deepest, highest, most attuned sensitivity for empowerment, not for neurosis. The key is not to make it about you. Nine is looking at everything with a microscope or magnifying glass, making sure to step back and see the bigger picture. Be aware of being crass, vulgar, crude, rough, loud, or messy. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Totally. Making sure that I'm looking at everything in the bigger picture and not to get consumed with these little like details and nuances. I have a history of being a perfectionist, but now I know that also that keeps you small and it keeps you stuck, waiting for this perfect moment to release something, the perfect moment to say this. But it doesn't, it keeps you from doing what you probably need to do and should do. So I could totally see that if I'm getting too into the weeds, which is a place I used to be, I could see that not me stepping in to my power of the 9 year.
Yeah, I found that section, the be mindful section, very interesting. Talks also about virtues and vices. I thought, "Oh, okay. This tells me a little bit more about if I'm not mindful, what
Love it.
that kind of looks like. If I am cognizant of some of these things, how the year could turn out very differently by looking at the virtues."
I agree. Yeah, I think it's really nice that he puts that in there, the virtues and the vices. So you already know, for me, if I'm getting obsessive or overreactive or overcomplicating things, I already know, okay, I'm not in alignment. I'm not tapping into the right energy. But if things are more effortless and reflective and graceful, I'm probably more on the right path for the year.
Yes, my vices were hard-nosed, buttoned up, overthinking big time, fails to take action, ineffectual, too bossy, and paranoid.
I really hope neither of us are in a fight section while recording any of these podcasts this year or going to be rough.
True. But my virtues sound amazing. Professional, analytical, brilliant, optimistic, authoritative, confident, determined, disciplined. And there was another thing that he said that I was like, huh, did this person look me up? It says, when you are courageous, you can build. When you have power, you have no fear. This is your time to come into your ultimate truth and rise into the beauty of the world. This is your year to soldier up and do what you got to do. Build it and they will come. I just love that. Build it and they will come. And I'm
Cool.
like, yeah, our podcast, we're building it.
That's right.
They will come. Listen to us.
So mine was 9 and refined. That that you are not restricted to time or space. It went on to say that it's time that you own your inspired intelligence to execute your highest will. This is your secret power. Let this year of being tapped into the magic of being a mystic. The mystic is the one who unites everything, who does not see any separation. There's a teaching in magic that says nature is mysterious. In order to align with nature, we must be mysterious. Thus, we master the mysteries. 9 is a number of mastery and considered the master of all systems. This is your year to be good at being good at stuff. If you have a strong 9, you go in and you figure it out. When you tap into this intelligence, everything is easy. This is the year to approach life with a quality of mastery and skill. Whether it's making a beautiful art piece, figuring out tech solutions, navigating your business or relationship, you can go do it all with the level of cultivated refinement that's beyond logical comprehension. You are not restricted to time or space or dimension as we see them. Instead, you're operating in a world of multidimensional consciousness. Freeing yourself from your limited viewpoints will make this an unforgettable year of liberation.
Did you also have the Hebrew letter and the tarot
Yeah.
attribution?
Yes, and that's what I have to say. If you're listening to this, I think Remington still usually has them on board, that you can get them, I think, in January still. And we're not reading every ounce of this, but we're going through most of it. What I really like is that he pulls from like a couple different sectors. He talks in one area about the deeper symbolism of Kabbalah, the tree of life. And Julie just said, goes into Hebrew letter and how it also could be attributed to Tarot. So going into a lot of different things. But I think, do you want to share the Tarot attribution? Since I think a lot more people are probably aware of Tarot.
Mine is the high priestess. The high priestess is the true spiritual authority and the guardian of the temple. Step into your spiritual dignity this year.
And I got strength. When you come into your real strength, you maneuver through the world with truly sophisticated elegance.
Nice. I think that 2024 is definitely going to be a glow up year.
Percent.
Yes, I feel like there's a lot of good energy going into the year. Again, we have the choice, we have the power to make choices for ourselves, to respond to different things that may happen and occur in 2024. All kinds of things can happen. We don't know. But I just have a really positive feeling of how we're going to go through the next year.
I love it. Everyone, take a few minutes, figure out your 2024 number of the year, add together the year 2024 plus your day of birth plus the month of birth, get it down to a number. And if you don't go get your report from Remington, I'm sure you could probably Google it to see what is in store for you and if it resonates.
And here's to an amazing year.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, subscribe, and share with a friend. Want to learn more about a specific topic? Drop us a line on our website and we can explore it deeper with you.